Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, West Covina Planning Commission, to order for Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018 at 7:10. We're expecting the chair to arrive shortly, but in the meantime, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, tonight led by Commissioner Dario Castellanos, followed by a moment of silent prayer, meditation. If you would please rise and join us.
Please face the flag, place your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. All right, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Holtz. Present. Commissioner Redholz.
Here.
Commissioner Hing.
Here.
Commissioner Castellanos.
Here.
And Chairman Jimenez.
All right, hopefully he'll be here shortly. We will move on to item number 1 on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from our regular meeting of October 9. Are there any changes to the minutes that any commissioner has to do? All right, seeing none, those minutes are approved as presented. Next is oral communications. This is when any member of the public may speak to the Commission on any matter within the scope of duties assigned to the Commission relating to non-agendized or consent calendar items. Other matters included may be addressed when that item is under consideration. I have no cards for anything. Does anyone wish to speak on oral communication on an item that is not on the agenda? Either one of you two gentlemen wish to speak? Nope. All right. This is on non-agendized?
I don't believe this is agendized, as we spoke to it earlier, and I was informed. It was not. It is a denial on a drive-through located here in West Covina with regards to selling quote-unquote spirits.
Well, that is it is an agenda item.
So it can't be spoken on tonight at all?
You want to do it now?
Not even? Sure.
No, I think you can let him go ahead and speak. If you want to have him speak on that item now.
Sure.
Because it's not a hearing. You can have him speak on it then, but.
Okay, that's fine.
So I can speak on it now?
You can speak on it right now is your time to speak on it.
No, you only speak once. You speak one time. So you either speak now or then.
If I hold off now, because the applicant may show up.
Well, maybe we should summarize what happened.
Okay.
There was a hearing.
The chair has arrived too, by the way.
Yeah, the chair has arrived.
7:13.
There was a hearing, I think, on October 11th. Yes, on October 11th, 9th. October 9th, there was a hearing on this item, Mr. DeRue, and the Planning Commission directed staff to prepare denial resos. So all that's before the Planning Commission tonight is to deny that request.
So during oral communication, I presume that I have the right to address this, whether I itemize or agendize or not? Okay, so there is no other.
You could,
unless they appeal it to the council.
Right. There'll be a hearing. There's no other hearing. That would be the council.
And I would not be waiving my right to speak during the council. Okay. All right. So get my time back. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys, stop the chair. If I can have my time back, please.
Well, just go ahead. We'll keep it time, Jefferson. Don't worry about it.
About an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. As it was pointed out to me, if this census tract is already gone above the allowable number of licenses, then I'm not seeing why this particular mom and pop drive-through is being denied. I also find it kind of difficult to understand why the demand for need is being applied, that burden is being applied on the applicant and or being denied for that reason. I would like to know if anyone comes in here and applies, are they required to provide you proof of need? I've been told that it's because there's a lot, and it was said during that meeting that it's because there's a lot of homeless activity in that particular area. I don't have the money. Well, I'm pretty pretty loud. But is there a mic? Hello? Thank you. Mr. Dario, you own a business and you publicly admitted that you entertain homeless, giving them water and what have you. If you came up before this planning commission and asked for any sort of adjustment, would you appreciate being denied because they're homeless in the vicinity of your business and maybe because you entertain them in one way or the other? I think that's prejudice. And in this case, it's even more than prejudice. It discriminates against this applicant because he has no control of the people that come around his business. The fact is that this applicant has not been cited by ABC or West Covina. While there may have been a number of crime reported in that area, it was not related to the applicant's desire to upgrade his liquor license. And in fact, I frequent this place. I drive through it to buy my lottery tickets or get a beer or what have you. And I've always noticed that folks either come out of their car or quite a bit of residents drive through there. There is quite a demand for their business. So to deny them the ability to increase their sales, I think runs contrary to what the city stands for. Business friendly. I've seen tons of other businesses opened up. I believe on Amar and Belinda, this very planning commission approved a renovated new business where they are selling spirits. They weren't denied. They weren't asked to prove a demand or a need. Why is this particular drive-through being made to jump through so many hoops? I find it to be either racial, religious, or electoral prejudice. There is no reason that all five of you would not at least consider inquiring about why isn't there a need. The planning department recommended for them to receive this upgrade. If that was the case, that they were not going to be allowed because of this impossible demand to prove need, what were they going to do, survey the clients that went through there? The council certainly has not gone out and tried to determine that need. And that wasn't obviously a requirement that the planning department put before this applicant. That's an unfair treatment in the process. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't have any additional speakers on this item. Yeah. Okay. Please step up to the mic. Name and address for the record, please.
Forrest Wilkins, 488 South Glen Allen Avenue, West Covina. My wife and I have been residents on the 27th of this month, 46 years, same house. I disagree with the former speaker. I think if they took a survey for the surrounding community and the people interviewed during this survey realized how many alcohol establishments there were in the area, I don't think you get a very high approval rate. I think we have to think about the citizens that live here in West Covina. We don't want to have West Covina being known as the city, it's the capital of Southern California that disperses alcohol beverages. I think that says it right there. Not too long ago, there was a discussion about the proposed 7-Eleven that's going to go in at Azusa and Puente, and the ABC did their warrant checks and so forth. And the way I understand it, ABC draws the line right down Azusa Avenue. So if you look at the totality of what's going on there, you just go across the street where this proposed 7-Eleven is. You have CVS, they sell alcohol beverages. You go just south, you have the big grocery store there. What's the grocery store? Yeah.
Food for Less or Stater Brothers.
Yeah, Food
as
for
well.
Less, yeah. You have that there. You go south of that, you have the Stater Brothers. They sell all kinds of alcoholic beverages. You go across the street over by the American Legion, the Hall American Legion. There's a liquor store there. You go up between the dairy and that liquor store I just mentioned, there's a liquor store there. How many liquor stores, how many alcohol dispersing retail places do we want in our city? The last I was aware of is the city of Laverne. I mean, Laverne does their thing, West Covina does their thing, but for illustration purposes, I understand Laverne has 3 liquor stores in the entire city. How many liquor stores do we have here in West Covina? I have no idea, but I bet I know we have many, many, many. And I think if you took a survey of the residents of West Covina, they would say, we don't need to saturate the disbursement of alcoholic beverages any more than it is now. So it appears that the Commission is going to vote no on this, which I think is very appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Okay, no additional speakers on this item. I will close the public testimony portion of this item. It's not a hearing, really. Yeah, okay.
So we're ready for item number 2.
Doesn't help that I just ran in here, huh? This is item number 2, conditional use permit 18-04 and variance 1802. This is a categorical exemption. The applicant is Robert Quintero for Ferrero's Burrito Company. The project address is 934 West Covina Parkway, and this is a request to operate a drive-through restaurant within an existing drive-through restaurant building. A CUP is required to allow for drive-through uses and a variance to reduce the number of required parking spaces. Staff, do we have a presentation?
Yes, our planning intern, Baltazar Barrios, will be presenting that report.
Good evening, everybody. So the applicant is requesting an approval of a conditional use permit and variance for a drive-through restaurant that would be called Ferrero's Burrito Company. The proposal requires the approval of a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through use and a variance to deviate from the number of required parking spaces for the intended use. The subject property is located in a general urban zone within the downtown plan located south of the Interstate 10 freeway near to West Covina Parkway and Vincent Avenue. The facility is south of Plaza West Covina and north of the Walnut Creek Wash and residential neighborhoods. Additionally, the facility is adjacent to commercial uses on its north, east, and west sides. The applicant originally applied for a conditional use permit in 2015 and it was approved by Planning Commission. However, the applicant allowed it to expire due to financial and time constraints. The subject property currently has a 1,750 square foot drive-through facility that was built in 1959. A Mexican restaurant known as Boca del Rio formerly operated on the property. The restaurant had a drive-through use in conjunction with the fast food restaurant. Boca del Rio's business license has been inactive since October 2013. No business has operated on the site since that time. The subject property also includes a second building that is occupied by an iPhone repair shop. The subject property is located in the proposed downtown plan and code area. Under the new code, the property would be zoned as general urban. Under the downtown plan, a drive-through is a conditionally permitted use, requiring the approval of a conditional use permit. The use of a drive-through facility in a general urban zone requires the approval of a conditional use permit. The former drive-through use, Boca del Rio, has been inactive for more than 1 year. Under the downtown plan section of the municipal code, if the said use is inactive for more than 1 year, the entitlement becomes null and an applicant must request an approval for a conditional use permit to allow a drive-through use. Ferrero's Burrito Company is a division of El Ranchero Restaurant, which has 2 locations in Rancho Cucamonga. The El Ranchero establishment has been in operation since 1987 and proposes to reintroduce a drive-through fast food service within an existing drive-through facility. The establishment is family-owned and serves a variety of Mexican dishes. Railroad's Burrito Company seeks to operate Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. The facility is located on a 14,815 square foot property. There are two buildings that are located on the property that were both built in 1959. The facility on the east portion of the property is a 1,100 square foot building that is occupied by an iPhone repair shop. The proposed facility is a one-story building that is 1,750 square feet. Along the northern portion of the property, there are 4 drive approaches. Each building has 2 drive approaches to enter from West Covina Parkway. On the existing drive-through facility, there are 2 existing drive-through windows, one on the north elevation and one on the south elevation. The 2 existing drive approaches located on the west and in the center along West Covina Parkway will be where patrons of the restaurant will enter from the westernly drive-through entrance and exit to the east of the facility. The restaurant will be exclusively for drive-through use and for outdoor eating. The outdoor eating area includes an arrangement of 6 tables and will seat a total of 24 individuals with permanent seating. The applicant did not provide an official drive-through querying analysis. The facility where the proposed drive-through use will be is in an existing drive-through facility that was built in 1959. The facility was last active in 2013, and staff is not aware that it created any obstruction to traffic or the public right-of-way. The building is designed with a drive-through window on the north and south of the kitchen area. The drive-through aisle on the north elevation can accommodate stacking up to 2 vehicles at a time without interfering with on-site circulation. The drive-through aisle on the south elevation can accommodate stacking up to 3 and 4 vehicles at a time without interfering with off-site circulation. Now, as for the noise impact analysis, the edge of the proposed drive-through is located 90 feet from the nearest residential property and 110 feet from the nearest residential structure located to the south. The order window that is located on the south side of the building is located 160 feet from the nearest residential structure. Staff has determined that there's adequate separation between residences and the drive-through, and that it follows all standards listed in the code. Staff believes that all standards are met by their proposal. It is located a minimum distance of 100 feet from the actual residential structure. The Walnut Creek Wash is located south of the property. There is an existing 8-foot tall chain link fence with mature ivy separating the drive-through facility and Walnut Creek Wash. In addition, the code specifies methods that ensure noise levels do not increase to the detriment of neighboring residential uses. And we believe that the applicant has met all 8 listed methods to achieve that goal. So we believe that the applicant has provided that 4 of the 8 methods are provided, in which the applicant business hours are limited to 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., which is number 2. There will be no speaker boxes present and only the use of 2 drive-through windows located on the north and south elevations, which is number 5. The subject property has an existing 8-foot tall chain link fence with the mature ivy vines on the south portion of the property, number 6. And there's an existing Walnut Creek Wash located south of the property, which is a natural barrier between the commercial use and neighboring properties, number 8. The restaurant is an allowed use and therefore does not require any approval by the Planning Commission for hours of operation. However, a drive-through restaurant requires the approval of a conditional use permit. The Planning Commission has the ability to place conditions on the drive-through hours of operation if the Commission has concerns with noise and late-night impacts to neighboring residents. The municipal code includes standards for drive-through facilities that generally deal with noise impacts to nearby residential development. The proposed drive-through complies with all requirements of the code. A resolution of approval has been prepared that allows for the drive-through use. The restaurant is required to have a specific number of parking spaces under the city's municipal code. 1 parking space for every 5 permanent seats required. The drive-through restaurant is to have a total of 24 permanent seats under the existing under the existing covered patio area for outdoor dining. The total required parking spaces for the use is 7. Adjacent to the facility where the drive-thru is proposed is the iPhone repair store. The iPhone repair store is 1,100 square feet, requiring 5 parking spaces. The total parking spaces for the property is 12, 5 spaces for the store and 7 spaces for the drive-thru restaurant. The subject property currently has 1 disabled parking space and 4 parking spaces located on the east portion of the property that are shared by the 2 businesses. Under the municipal code, the approval of a variance is required to deviate from the code requirements. The applicant is requesting to deviate from the parking requirements from 12 parking spaces to the existing 5 parking spaces shared with the neighboring business. Findings for the approval have been made for the conditional use permit for the drive-thru restaurant and the variance for deviating from the parking requirements. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for an existing drive-thru use in a general urban zone that would occupy an existing drive-thru facility. Additionally, the applicant is requesting a variance to deviate from the number of required parking spaces. The proposed use will be in conjunction with a fast food Mexican restaurant, Railroad's Burrito Company. The subject property was previously occupied by a similar use, the fast food Mexican restaurant known as Boca del Rio, and it has been inactive since 2013. The drive-thru facility was built in 1959 and is similar in character to the properties directly on the east and west side. Through the conditional use permits, findings were made to determine if the proposed drive-thru use would be suitable for the existing site and neighborhood. The findings conclude that the proposed drive-thru use is consistent with the general urban land use designation in the general plan, zoning code standards, with the exception of parking, and would not be detrimental to the health and safety of the adjacent land uses and residents. Findings were also made for the variance to reduce the number of parking spaces required. The findings conclude that the existing property is unique in character and will be consistent with the neighboring properties. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the resolutions approving conditional use permit 18-04 and variance 18-02. This concludes staff presentation. The applicant is here to answer any questions the commission might have.
Thank you, Mr. Barrios, for that very thorough presentation. Any questions to staff? Commissioner.
Point of clarification, I seem to remember on the original approval that we said that the speaker boxes would face away from the residents, which is on page 5 of 10. Number 5, the speaker box shall be oriented away from adjacent residents. But then if you go down a little further in the report, it says staff believes that 4 of these methods have been provided. One of those is there will be no speaker boxes present. So on this application, they're not going to put speaker boxes in, is that correct?
No, from our understanding, they are going to put in speaker boxes. Yes.
Why does it say there will be no speaker boxes present and only the use of 2 drive-through windows?
We have a typo in the report.
Yeah, we have a typo. And again, the applicant is here to provide any more specificity on it.
So you're saying there are going to be speaker boxes?
Yes.
And they're going to be oriented away from the residents?
Yes, they have to comply with that standard. And again, of the 8 that are there, they don't have to comply with all of them. They just have to comply with 1 to meet the standards for the drive-through use.
So what
I
would
think
you,
to be helpful on that, I don't know if Balti can go to the site plan. Do you have a site plan? Yeah. And I don't know if you have your site plans before you, it might be helpful because you can see it on the plan. In this vicinity, this is one of the speaker boxes here, and then there's one here. So, and the units are over here, so it's oriented toward a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
so the typo would be there will be speaker boxes present?
Correct.
And only the use of 2 drive-through windows located on the north and south?
Correct.
Okay.
There's 2. Yeah, there's 2. There's one on the north drive-through and one on the south drive-through.
Okay, so you'll make a correction on that?
Yes. Thank you, John.
Any additional questions? Commissioner Reynolds?
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question. You know, one of the reasons staff recommends approval is their limited business hours. I mean, they're open from 7 a.m. to midnight. I mean, what do we look, how is that limited? They're not 24 hours, or?
They're not 24 hours. Now, the Planning Commission, that's what this conditional use permit's for. So the Planning Commission thinks those hours are too late. You have the discretion to make those shorter hours, but that's what the applicant is requesting. And there is some limitation there. Maybe not, it's not a great limitation, but there is a limitation.
Okay. And the other thing is, I'm kind of having trouble wrapping my head around the parking variance. You know, I mean, I'm a little bit conflicted in the sense that, I don't know whether you can answer it or they can answer it, but apparently it's a complete drive-through business. I mean, you can't walk up to that window and order food. It's just strictly drive-through. Yet we've got 24 permanent seats. So I'm a little confused. I mean, are they able to accommodate?
Well, I think there's two things there.
Yeah.
First of all, there's employees. Second of all, even if you drove through, if there's seats, like you might at In-N-Out, you might drive through, get your food, park, and sit down and eat. So there are some reasons why people might park there. And I'm sorry, I don't remember I don't think I ever went to Boca del Rio or any of the previous Q-Burger or whatever was there before. I don't know. I can't respond to how those operated, but I would assume that they operated in a fashion like that. Now, the applicant may be able to address whether someone could get food without it being in a car. I would tend to think they would allow that in some fashion or another, but that would be better for the applicant to answer how he's planning on running. Yeah, because I'm trying to be convinced that this is a variance that is needed. I mean, there's no parking. I mean, I was out there today, and the iPhone shop, I mean, the parking that we are providing is way over there. It's not even on the, right, it's not even adjacent to the building. I think there's some on each side. I think there's some adjacent to the. I don't see any parking, are there parking spaces up near the restaurant? Do you have the beer? Oh, you can see it on the aerial. Because I count 5 spaces. I think they're over here. I think there's some over here and some over here. There's no. That's where they drive through. They pull in and drive through to the drive-through lanes.
So the parking spaces are near the iPhone store,
right?
But there aren't any parking spaces within the
on that side.
Within the drive-through.
There's none there. There's none on the restaurant side. They're all far away on the iPhone store side.
Yeah, this is this is the rule.
Based on looking at the aerial, there are parking spaces on both the east and west sides. I think there's 4 on the west side and 3 on the east side. So, part of the problem with any property like that is generally, a lot of times there's no separation between, you can't tell when you go from one property to another. So it may be that when you look at that, those look like they belong to the store, the retail store to the west of the site, but they're in fact on this property.
So if we count spaces, how many spaces we got?
I believe there's 7.
7. So there's 5, there's 1 handicap. I believe, I read that somewhere. The applicant might be, some of these questions are probably better for the applicant to respond to. Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm trying to wrap my head around the variance.
Yeah, so let me talk in, there's, let me just start with practicality things. This is an existing building.
Yep.
To operate, it can't operate except for the way that it's constructed. It's not an ideal lot. I think if we were looking at this as a vacant lot today and someone came in with this, we wouldn't be talking about developing this lot in the fashion that it is today. But nevertheless, it's there, and it has been for some, well, it has been. So I think part of the question that staff wrestled with when we get these kind of things is it better to have a business operating or a vacant space? And so the option then becomes either the variance is approved, and maybe it's not a very good argument for the findings. I follow you on that, because it's more of a practical consideration than it is a technical consideration. But the simple fact is, without the variance, they can't have any outdoor seats. So the option would be to eliminate all the outdoor seats. I think I've got that right.
Right.
So, or reduce them greatly.
Right.
Now,
the only 2 options they have is It's either they drive through the facility to pick up their food, or it's just simply you're within the area and you're walking and you walk up and you sit there.
Okay. Is this, I mean, this was in front of us, I think, all of us in 2015. Is this the same, is there any change to what was proposed then as far as, was there a variance for parking at that time too?
That is correct.
All of that? So is this pretty much a mirror image of that report?
Yes,
That is correct.
the applicant is the same applicant. I think there there were some things that held them up from moving forward, but I think they always intended to move forward. They just lost track of time and didn't get an extension in, and so that they lost their validity, and so they're proposing the same thing in the intention of moving forward just like they were in 15.
Yeah, because I mean, you just kind of said that if we, we'd rather have this business or a vacant business. We did approve them with what was in front of us. We still had a vacant business for 3 years. So anyway, I mean, I'd like to hear from him unless anybody else has questions.
Commissioner Holtz?
Where is the outdoor play area they talk about?
The
Outdoor play area?
There's
Where
no,
is it?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
outdoor play area?
Yeah,
There's no play area. There's a seating area.
it says, page 4 of 10, it says, on bullet number, where is it, 5, or no, bullet number 1, it says sensitive receptor in the outdoor perimeter of the drive-through
okay.
lanes, outdoor play area,
Yeah,
and
so
outdoor seating.
let's be clear. So on the noise impact analysis, 1 through 3, that is a quotation from the code.
Right,
That's what you're reviewing. It's like a finding, and then you're checking to see if they meet those.
right.
And that's what the second part, 1, 2, and 3, well, we cover that in the paragraph below. And then 1 through 8 listed is also a quotation from the code.
Right.
So we're not saying they have one, we're quoting
Okay.
what the code
All right,
says.
thank you.
Any additional questions? No? Okay. We can open up this item for public testimony, or actually invite the applicant come and maybe try to address some of the questions you heard, as well as provide us an update.
Outside dining area, there's the patio area there, which the existing restaurants used to use. They're seating for 24, I don't anticipate 24 people probably at one time. There will be spaces which will be on the west side. There'll be 4 spaces on that side alone. Over by the trash enclosure, we also will stripe one additional area. Let's say you come up and you have a large order, you need to wait. Well, what we can do is we can ask them to move up into that designated area as we run out and give them the orders, so traffic doesn't build up as bad. And that's pretty much the only question that I saw with regards to the parking situation. Behind the iPhone repair, I counted 5 spaces. They only park 1 car there. Also underneath their carport, there's for an additional 2 spaces. They don't use that space at all. We are putting a remote camera so we can have visualization of our cars during the day and take a look at them on our monitor. That's where a lot of the homeless do congregate. I believe once we open up, believe it or not, we've had I don't want to say relation, but my response to that is, I come in at night, I see some of the homeless people there. I can kick them out, I can chase them out. We haven't been broken into. We haven't had much graffiti. If we have, we've removed it. But you know what? It's almost been a false sense of security. Somebody's going to do something, they see people there. So we've just said, please clean up your trash, till we open. We are coming in. They have respected that. So, like I said, once we put our cars and once they see more traffic, I think that problem will go away. We'll maintain it. We'll put additional lighting, and we're very, very excited to come into the city and finally see this. Like I said, there's a lot of people have approached me. I would say numbers past at least 50 for that particular space to see if I wanted to sublease it to them or get rid of it or sell it. And I have absolutely no interest. My interests are to open it and see it do well and be a service to the people of West Covina.
So, Mr. Cantero, I think you heard this evening concern regarding the lapse from 2015 to 2018. What has changed?
If you, we made just a couple of little changes, upgraded some of the things that we decided to go through, but one of the big things has been, I've got 3 children. Since then, 2 graduated from the University of Oregon. One of them since moved on to the University of Michigan Architectural Department, and the other one's at medical school at USC. So tuition came into play, and we weren't the couple that put away for tuition for our kids. We pretty much sold tacos. And that's, you know, and fortunately that decision between once they got accepted and getting some of the proceeds and putting it towards that took priority. And so, you know, we gathered the rest, and here we are, and everything's been taken care of, and so now we're ready to move forward.
If you were to obtain permission or approval this evening, how far down the road would we see?
December 1st.
Is that an opening date or continued construction?
No, construction is done. We're done. Building department was out there today and pretty much gave us their approval and said all we need is our final, and the health department final in December 1st. So that's pretty much our drop dead date as of now. Like I said, this has been way too long, but you know what, we wouldn't change, and we're definitely not backing down, and we're excited.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions from the commission? Commissioner Redholz or Holtz? Whoever comes to the...
Were these the same hours that you asked for last time?
They were. I think maybe Friday and Saturday, maybe midnight. We may step that back, maybe 10 o'clock. We'll see what the traffic is like, see what the demand is like.
That's what I was thinking. I don't have any problem with Friday and Saturday, but Sunday through Thursday, I think 10 o'clock could be much better if you're open to that.
Yeah, I think maybe past 10, which is what we do at our other restaurants after that. You know, it's not such a demand.
All right, Commissioner Redholz.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was out there today, and there is graffiti. I mean, it's not big letters all over the place, but people somebody named Alex must have died because RIP is all over the place. Yeah. So, but you do have graffiti, I would assume. Obviously, you'll take care of that. And you operate El Ranchero. What kind of restaurant is El Ranchero? Is it like this, or is it more of a sit-down? Or?
No, it's fast food Mexican. We're reluctant to call it fast food because of the quality of our food, but it is. We have 2 locations in Rancho Cucamonga, and they've both done extremely well. Okay. And so this will be our, I think I mentioned last time, this will be our prototype because we plan on going up to the Northwest and kind of doing this kind of venture up there. So.
Okay, and you open at 7 a.m., so you serve breakfast?
Yes, sir. Huevos rancheros, breakfast burritos. It's good.
All right, and the chair kind of addressed something. I was going to ask you kind of what's on your punch list. So I guess everything's pretty much done.
Yeah, pretty much. Inside the drive-through is done. We put a 3M speaker system with volume control and everything because that was one of the areas of concerns that they had. So we've put that through, and now is just refinishing the outside. Even the signs are in. Just putting the outside tables. We didn't want to put the outside tables in till we open, because we didn't want to invite a place where people could sit down and be comfortable. So in the next 20 days, we should be able to finish up and get rolling. And
I remember you had like a sign on the window for a job fair for quite a while. So.
We had to take that down, but you know what? We've got a staff ready to go and open, and we will be hiring. We'll be hiring 10, 15 people once we get open to local residents.
And if the commission, I've heard Commissioner Holtz talk about hours, and I was kind of thinking that same thing too, like Sunday through Thursday till 10.
Yes.
And Friday and Saturday till midnight. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Would that be amenable to you?
Absolutely. I would be comfortable with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? None? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Cantero. We're going to have public testimony.
Absolutely.
And we may invite you for a little bit rebuttal when we're done with that, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Do we have any speakers? I have no speaker cards on this item. Anyone wishing to speak? Okay. Let the record reflect that we have no public testimony on this item. Commissioners, would you like me to invite Mr. Cantero back up?
No.
Or okay.
Not me.
Okay, fair enough. Any questions of staff or commission discussion then? Okay. Any takers?
I'll go. Well, I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think Sunday through Thursday at 10 p.m. closing time would make sense, and And with that modification and this presentation being the same as last time we approved it, it's been far too long that that's been stalling. But, you know, sounds like the applicant had some good reasons to delay. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve this with the change we discussed on the closing time Sunday through Thursday.
I'll second that motion. So I'll second that motion.
I just want to, I'm going to support the motion. I'm just going to say that I'm not 100% convinced on the parking, but I'm going to agree with what the director said, and also with, you know, giving the operator a chance to, you know, to get the thing going and make it work. You know, I mean, maybe, you know, the worst thing you can have is not enough parking, but that's actually the best thing too. It means you're busy, you know, so it kind of works both ways. But, you know, I agree. I think it's been there too long. It's been vacant. You know, it's you know, given every opportunity to succeed. So I'll support the motion.
You know, before we continue, if I may offer, I guess, food for thought, no pun intended, of course, regarding the parking, in terms of approving the variance, and if there's a possible motion of modifying the conditions, is it worth asking that the applicant maybe work with staff on identifying any opportunities to generate some level of parking on the property as part of the motion? Again, just throwing it out there to maybe address your concern. Commissioner Redholz, I would be in support of something along those lines, that maybe the applicant could work to see if there's a way to, you know, squeeze out a space or two. Honestly, any plus that we can add here in terms of parking may address that.
Yeah.
In terms of the variance, we're dealing with a pre-existing condition. It's a very narrow lot. It's a sliver, right? Maybe the wash, how the street was cut many years ago. And we're also dealing with a use that was probably built in the auto-centric age. And so it was more of someone driving up, grabbing their food, they're out the door, or I should say in their car, they're driving down the road. And so these nonconformities have led to the unique situation that we find ourselves in. And maybe as a way to try to mitigate, maybe we can ask the applicant to work with staff, if he's okay, to maybe try to find a way to identify any additional parking on the property.
Can we ask staff if, in your professional opinion, is there any room on that lot?
I think we'd have to go out there probably with the applicant in a tape measure to measure. It's one of these things where it's really tight. I'm not sure there is, but you know, there possibly could be. Another thing that the applicant mentioned was having a sort of a waiting space which isn't striped or has any, you know, nothing on the ground. That could be something that might be helpful, because then if somebody's waiting, they don't get in the way of other people. They know where to be. We stripe that a little bit differently, like somehow, but
I wouldn't have a problem in adding that.
Sure.
The waiting area to be delineated.
well, I think that you could just ask us to work with the applicant to
Okay.
evaluate if additional parking or waiting spaces could be installed.
I'm
And I
fine
think
with
the
that. I don't
applicant
want to do
would work
anything
with
to
us.
hold anything up, so I think.
And no,
I'm
it
fine
shouldn't
with
hold
that.
anything up. We should be able to get out
Okay.
there and work with them in the next couple of weeks. And it's paint. If you're going to stripe
Right.
some, it's just paint. So.
Right. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so as am I.
Okay.
Okay. I guess because of maybe me adding that additional recommendation, if it's okay with the commission, I can modify the recommendation to add
Sure,
that in.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I think it'll be a good effort, and also, under the prior ownership, all the times I went there, it seemed to work just fine, so I'm pretty confident that, especially with this effort, it's gonna work out just fine.
So I got reso numbers for you.
Okay.
The conditional use permit will be 18-5966, and the variance will be 18-5967. You have a motion by Commissioner Castellanos and a second by Commissioner Holtz. Would you like me to do roll call?
Roll call's fine.
Commissioner Holtz?
Aye.
Commissioner Redholz?
Aye.
Commissioner Hing? Commissioner Castellanos?
Aye.
Chairman Jimenez?
Aye. We'll see you on December 1st.
It's appealable.
This item is appealable to the City Council within 10 days. Thank you and best of luck, Mr. Quintero. Okay. Moving on to item number 3. This is a non-hearing item, administrative use permit 18-22. This is a categorical exemption. The applicant is Durrani Rajesh Patel. The property in question is 1818 East Roland Avenue, also known as the Royal Oaks Dairy. This was a request for approval of an AUP to intensify an existing beer and wine alcohol license going from a type 20 to a type 21 that would have allowed for off-site sales of distilled spirits within an existing drive-through dairy mart. Staff, do we have a presentation or
Yeah,
discussion?
just quickly. This item was presented to the Planning Commission on October 9th. There was a hearing held. There were several speakers that spoke at the time. The Planning Commission discussed it. And they had the following comments. There are 11 off-sale ABC licenses within the same census tract, 5 of which are type 21. Number 2, the applicant did not provide adequate information regarding the need to intensify from a 20 to a 21 type. And then third, the proposed intensification is not necessarily desirable to provide a service that would contribute to the well-being of the neighborhood. So that was the 3 points that we heard that the Planning Commission made. And just to be clear, on a denial, you only need to make one of those points. You don't need. It's not a pitching. You don't need 3 strikes. It's just one. And so we did prepare the denial resolution. There are 5 findings that to approve would need to be made, and those are provided on attachment 1. They are provided in your staff report if you remember from last time, but they're on starting on page 1 and then ending on page 2 of the resolution. And there's an additional finding when there's alcohol. So there's a total of 6. We have made the finding A, which that finding that the proposed use at the particular location is necessary or desirable to provide a service or facility which will contribute to the general well-being of the neighborhood or community. So that's the one we focused on. I can read the whole finding if you'd like, but we have made a negative finding in that based on those comments that were provided by the Planning Commission last time. This resolution is before you, and if you, I'd give you a number, and if you make that motion, then it would be denied as of today, and that would start the appeal time frame. That concludes staff's comments.
Thank you, Jeff. Commissioner Redholz.
Just one question. Was in response to the speaker, was this application handled differently in any way than any other situation like this that's come in front of us? As far as...
Well, first of all, I think I would say that I don't think there are anything like routine planning cases. Every place is a different place in geography. I'm trying to think in my career if I've ever had someone propose alcohol at a drive-through dairy. I don't know that I have, and I'm not saying that there aren't some out there that sell them. I'm just saying we've never reviewed one. So this is a new one for me, and I've been doing this for 30 years. So it is routine in that we do get AUP requests for new alcohol sales, and we do get them sometimes to intensify. But at a drive-through dairy, no, that's very unusual in my seat. So I don't know. I think there's parts of it you could say are routine, and parts of it that are very unusual.
There was nothing that was done differently.
Oh no, you followed the protocol correctly, and the point is that I would make that maybe you're asking is there are findings that you're supposed to make, and if you don't feel you can make those findings, then you're not supposed to approve it. So I think that's why we listed those 3 statements that we think you made as a commission, because those statements all lead to a negative finding right. For finding A, which is from the code, which you have to approve an intensification of an ABC license. So in that sense, no, this is following protocol. The Planning Commission has discretion to approve or deny or to continue any project that they have before them. They're not obligated to approve something because they approved something like this.
Exactly. So because an approval was done in the past under another application, we're not bound to approve all of them.
No, you're not.
That's the point. That's the point.
You reviewed on a case-by-case basis based on the geography and in the testimony that you received.
Right. Thank you.
Any additional questions? No? Okay. In this particular case, Jeff, do we need to reopen the public hearing? Or
no, the public hearing was not continued. You just gave us direction to provide a...
Fair enough. Right, I think I just would like to add for the record, I previously objected to this application, but I also objected to the use, which was not necessarily determined at the time that we listened to the item, at that northwest corner of Azusa and Puente. And I then said that there was already an overconcentration issue in this area, so I think I voted consistently in not necessarily giving the green light, at least from this chair, for certain alcohol uses within that sub-area, so absent of the census tract numbers. So just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
So I'll provide you the resolution number, and then you can determine if you want to make a motion and second that or provide other direction. But the resolution has been prepared, would be 18-5968.
I can motion to disapprove.
To what?
Well, so your motion will be to approve the denial reso.
To acknowledge the disapproval, how about that?
You're approving the denial reso.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
I'll second that
I
motion.
was trying to stay in the affirmative here, sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. You want me to do the roll call?
Sure.
Commissioner Holtz? Aye. Commissioner Redholz?
Aye.
Commissioner Hing? Aye. Commissioner Castellanos?
Aye.
Chairman Jimenez.
Aye.
So as I said, this will start the 10-day appeal period.
And so the action is final unless appealed to the City Council within 10 days. Thank you. Continuing on, this is the continuation of oral communications. Anyone who wishes to speak on items that were not agendized this evening, this is that moment. Let the record reflect we have no additional oral communication. Commission reports? None? Okay. None, Commissioner Redholz?
Just 2 weeks from now is voting. Everybody needs to go out and vote. That's it.
Thank you, very important, no doubt. Planning Director's report, Jeff?
Okay, so we have the forthcoming on here. We don't have any items for the 13th, but we do have items for the 27th. We'll probably have at least 3 by count right now, what we think. And then we do have the subcommittee minutes from September 11th and October 9th for your perusal. Did want to make note that a very sad situation where our fellow comrade here, Ron Garcia, will be leaving the city of West Covina, moving on to greener pastures. And so we want to wish him well. Ron started here as a punk kid about 13 years ago. Now he's a punk adult, so he hasn't changed much. But he's been here 13 years, which is, Lydia and I have been here longer, but nobody else has ever served longer than that in a long, long time here in West Covina. So he's really put in his time. When he came, he was an unmarried swinging bachelor. Now he's got a ball and chain. Very happily, he's got a happy ball and chain, but he's been involved in lots of projects. I can't even enumerate all the projects that Ron's been involved in, but I think that he would agree that the most exciting time I think we had was during the general plan update. It was a very.
May we ask where you're going, Ron?
Yes. Before I get to that, thank you, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure going from the punk kid to punk adult. But also would like to thank the Planning Commission. I know since I've been here, I think Commissioner Redholz, you've been here since I've been here, 13 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with all of you, former planning commissioners as well. And an absolute pleasure working with Jeff and also all those previous planners that have gone through the planning department. It's a bittersweet. Again, I'm humbled that I got to work with you, as I mentioned to staff this morning. So definitely don't take it for granted, everything that I've learned over the years, and build relationships with residents and city staff. So I thank you. I thank Jeff, and look forward to seeing you guys and catching up in the future. So I won't be going too far. You'll know where to find me. So I will be in the planning manager for the city of Baldwin Park. So, yeah.
Man, that commute, those extra 2 to 3 miles,
yeah,
can get to you.
Yeah. A couple more gas stations to pass up.
That's true. Yeah, look at that. Redholz wins.
Yes. So back with Shannon, huh, over there? Okay, well, best of luck. Speaking for myself, I've really enjoyed working with you. You know, you've always been there, very accessible. You know, you call them on the phone. If you're not picking up, you call back, you know, rather quickly, and you've always been able to help me along with any questions I had and explain things and make things understandable, which is good. So, you know, I'm going to miss you, and I wish you the best of luck. I know you'll do great.
We'll definitely miss you, Ron, and thank you for, as Commissioner Redholt said, all the help. You were always extremely responsive, extremely helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Same from this chair, and you've always been upbeat and pleasurable and smiling all the time, and just been a pleasure to work with. And now we just have to pick on Jeff more and more.
Jeff, do you want me to sit on that side for a while now? Or?
Yeah. You know, it's, there you go. One last time, Ron, run that clock. It's, you know, no small feat what you guys do, Ron, Jeff, staff, for this size of city, to be able to answer our inquiries, the development community, the residents of the city. Again, it's a huge undertaking for you know, the amount of people that are in that department. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I know you're going to do well, and you know, hopefully it's never goodbye, and I like to say maybe until next time. But thank you for all your work and dedication, Ron. Best of luck to you, okay?
Thank you. Well said.
Same here. I just like to say that thank you. It's been great working with you, and best of luck.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right. No tissue here, so moving on. City Council actions.
I don't have anything to report from previous city council, but, and the city council's dark next week, but on the 20th, which is 4 weeks from now, that's when we will have the hearing for the two code amendments that you took care of last meeting, the ADU questions and the downtown parking. I would also like to, probably should have said this before, but I would like to make the announcement that we are, and I should have probably started doing this earlier, but we are planning a scoping meeting for the Queen of the Valley EIR. You know, the Queen of the Valley, I think most of you guys understand they're working on a project. It's a specific plan to increase to allow for the increase of floor area there, about 500,000 square feet, and also to incorporate the old Sunset Field into the campus of that hospital. So we're going through the specific plan. The EIR will be reviewed, will be evaluating that specific plan's goals. And so the scoping meeting, which is a kickoff for the EIR process, will be on November 15th at 6 o'clock on the Queen of the Valley campus. I apologize, I can't tell you which room it's going to be because I've forgotten. But it's on the Queen of the Valley campus, and if you're interested in going, you can always contact me as we get closer to that, and I can provide you some more information on that.
Okay. So we will be adjourning, and Ron, in your time, your dedication to the city of West Covina. Let the record reflect it's 8:06. Thank you for all those who are here attending the Tuesday, October 23rd Planning Commission meeting. Have a good night.